Well, thank you very much for joining me. It is Sunday, and that means VFRL go away once again. It's the Equal Performance Championship today, and we are in Monza. We're waiting for everybody just to make their way into their cars in the pits now. And we'll soon be in qualifying. It's the Monza circuit, not Imola. I believe we may have a one-shot quali on our hands. Which would mean qualifying is one lap. Everybody given one chance. So we'll go through the drivers when we get the chance after this one-shot quali. So, indeed, everybody on the track at the same time. Through the final turn. Everybody. A level playing field. We'll go through the drivers after this is done. But for now, it's Onions Please that's taking us away in first into turn 1. Very difficult chicane, all about the exit speed. Josh Owen just beats Onions Please out of the exit. The V-Carb finding himself comfortable in Curva Grande. Burning battery down to 50% already. Now, turns 4 and 5. A very similar chicane. Careful not to overdo the curbs or you can unsettle the car. But Onions and Josh Owen have traded places once again. It's the McLaren finding himself ahead through the Lesmos now. Bit of a tap on the brakes, straight back on throttle. And Onions has it under control. Now the Ascari chicane, a very fast one. And in the meantime, Daz Dyro has found himself ahead. No battery left for this man, I believe. No battery left for many people at this point. Through Parabolica now. A wide apex for top speed now. And down to the line, it's very close. But ultimately, it's Daz that takes the pole for the sprint race today. So, it's a sprint weekend. We'll have 2 races going on. The first one decided with the starting positions from this. And we'll go through, introduce our drivers as we look at their starting position for the sprint. Now, Daz taking pole. Onions P2. Who Am I 3rd. Josh Owen in 4th. Suzuki 5th. Bunny 6th. Forfeit 7th. Tommy in 8th. Zedmar 9th. Pesh 10th. Benavi 11th. Jack 12th. Jan 50-50 in 13th. El Humero 14th. Sir Nade 15th. Rory 16th. Have not seen Jan before, so it'll be their first race for the Sunday League today. And now we have one short race that will be giving out points positions. Before we go away for the feature race itself, we'll be doing another qualifying of one shot before that too. As we wait now for the drivers to be ready for the sprint race. The sky noticeably cloudier for the sprint race. We'll be having a bit of a colder track. But otherwise, very similar. The top 8 in a sprint race given points as opposed to the top 10 in the feature race. And the points given are also quite significantly reduced. P1 given 8, and the 7 drivers behind given points going down by 1. All the way down to 1 point for 8th place. Which means the fight in the midfield is a lot more aggressive. People are pushing for 8th, not just 10th. People aren't very happy to sit in 9th. Of course, with a track like this, DRS down the main straight and into turn 1 can be a bit of chaos. And chaos indeed is what we're expecting. 4, 5 red lights. They go out, and away we go. It's Daz leading us away, the Aston Martin, the one who gained pole. And into turn 1, he has a very convincing lead. It's on the outside, brakes late, and we have a massive crash at the back. Oh my goodness. Cars absolutely everywhere. That's, oh my, forfeit at the back. And now I believe there's so many cars with wing damage. There's not even anything more to say. Mercedes went tumbling into Mercedes. And we're so far safe into turn 4. Bunny and Jack going at it for P8. Rory gets a 10-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. And Daz stays in P1. The front 3 staying as they were. Now just keep an eye out for wing damage, because there's plenty of it on the grid now. As you can see, Zedmar is missing his front left end plate. Jan 50-50 goes off in the Ascari chicane. Hits Suzuki there, who ends up having to go off track himself. Is Suzuki one of the ones with wing damage? Actually, no. And Daz takes fastest lap. But it's not safe at all. Onions is right behind the McLaren, hunting for that first place. We have Humero and Rory side by side into turn 1. We've seen enough chaos here already. It's a lot safer this time around. Rory, though, on the inside into turn 2. Six his nose in, goes for it. Wheels lock just a tiny bit, but he gets away with it. Zedmar's front wing doesn't look too happy. But for now, he's okay. Bunny. Very closely following Ben. Suzuki and Jan, the two Williams, swap places in P14. And the fight amongst these points has not ended. Onions with DRS around the outside into the Ascari chicane. There he goes. Qualified P2 has earned P1. But of course, one move does not a position make. You have to be worried about the DRS immediately after. There's a Haas that goes very wide there. Humero went off track on the exit of the Ascari chicane. Very easy to do in those fast, high-speed corners. And Onions takes the new fastest lap. Now has an Aston Martin to be worried about. Forming a bit of a DRS train here. Bunny diving down the inside of Ben Arvey into turn 1. They're still side by side. Who's going to give the space? The answer is no one. Bunny actually ends up being very nice in that one. Takes a very clean outside line. And it ends with him still taking that position. P5 for the Mercedes driver. I'm surprised so many drivers have gotten away relatively unscathed from turn 1. Now Daz losing some time to Onions here. It's gone down to 9/10. Now 5 after that DRS zone. And the front 3. Anybody could be in the fight for P1 at this point. Could be Who Am I, Daz or Onions. And with only 6 laps left to go, they better get a move on. That's another fight going on for 7th and 8th. Bunny, however, finds himself at the front of a DRS train with a big gap ahead. And if he doesn't make any moves soon, he's going to be vulnerable to DRS behind. Jack closes in very significantly on Ben Arvey into the braking of turn 1. Has a bit of a run out of turn 2. Through Curva Grande. It's 3/10 between him and the car ahead, and Rory finds himself looking to make a move on the inside of turn 4. Wasn't to be. Now we're into the Lesmos. Not as easy to stick it down the inside here, but Rory seems like he's certainly going to try. Rory not giving up at all in pursuit of P7. Loses a bit of it in the run to the Ascari chicane. And up at the front, Who Am I? On the inside, into turn 11, Daz Dyro. Falling a bit behind there. Now a few tenths behind Who Am I? And it's the Red Bull making a charge for first place. And of course, anyone can try. The question is, can you make it happen? There's been some good pace from our 3 front runners already. With 4 laps to go now. Time is ticking. You have to wonder if people maybe have some small but invisible wing damage. Josh Owen retires. And that was in the pit lane. He must have been one of the ones caught up in the incident turn 1, lap 1. And now Daz has fallen just over a second behind Who Am I. It closes in though to 9/10. If he can keep it like that, he'll be in the fight down the straight. Speaking of fights down the straight, Jack still P7 and still has a raging Ferrari behind. Raring to go. And adamant that he gain that 7th place. Now if I'm Jack, these mirrors are going to be taking up a lot of my attention. But he's got a move of his own to look at. Had DRS and battery to burn, but didn't quite close in enough on the Ferrari ahead to get himself out of this scarlet sandwich. Ferrari behind, Ferrari ahead. What can you do? Daz now firmly out of reach of Who Am I in P2. The fight is a 2-horse race. 3 laps to go, and P1 will either go to Onions or Who Am I. Most likely, unless they both have an incident. But I'm not gonna manifest that for them. It can only be done by the drivers themselves. As Onions with a massive snap of oversteer through the final turn. Parabolica, this is where it matters. He's charging the battery, he doesn't have DRS. Who Am I? Has found his chance, and on the inside of turn 1, he brakes. Just not late enough. Onions does compromise his run into turn 2 with some late braking into turn 1, as defensive as he can be. But for now, Who Am I seems pretty content to sit there. What about Suzuki? Pulls past Tommy on the run to turn 1. Tommy did look back at the inside, wasn't quite happening. But Tommy is one of those who has some wing damage. That's an end plate missing, the front right end plate for the McLaren. Not quite how the car's supposed to look. But there's not much he can do about that now. Now lap 7. A few gaps forming in the middle of the field. But soon we'll be on our penultimate lap. And the pressure will get to them. Who Am I has plenty of battery saved up. Onions not so much, about half the amount in fact. And Rory, he's looked for it so long, he got so close there. He was in fact side by side, just a few thousandths of a second separating him from P7, but it wasn't to be. The question is, what happens now? Jack closing in so quickly on Ben Harvey. Ben lacking that DRS, the rear wing staying closed, and into turn 1 again. The fear of repeating lap 1 has left them braking so safely. Suzuki now through on Nade for P10. Williams on Alpine. And Jack ever so close to Ben. Rory ever so close to Jack. Is this his chance? He brakes late on the inside of turn 4. The Ferrari once again makes contact, spins almost into the barrier at turn 5. Down to P9 he goes, losing what it was he'd had in the pursuit of something greater. That's P9 for him, but others' positions aren't so sealed. As it's now, as Jack goes through on Ben Harvey for P6. Now that he's free from the Ferrari behind him, he can focus on the car ahead, and that was his chance. Now, the fight we've watched all race for the front. Our pole sitter has fallen to P3, but P2 and 3 are having a fight of their own. Who Am I? Burning the battery with DRS. It's Onions covering the inside into turn 1. What can the McLaren do by way of defense? And through turns 1, he's held it. Turns 1 and 2 have been safe for the McLaren. But it's again more battery for Who Am I round the outside of Curva Grande. And it's Who Am I into the lead of the race for turn 4. The Red Bull comfortable on hard tyres. Onions similar in tyre choice. Daz was on mediums and it could explain the late race drop off. Pesh and Bunny hards, who've made it to P4 and 5. Jack on hards as well explains that late move on Ben, but he has lost that now. But now the McLaren of Onions looks to the inside of turn 8. The Ascari chicane. Another battle between them side by side on the exit. The Red Bull comes out on top. At least for now. Because there's always one more corner. There's always one more chance. It is what you make of it. And just a mistaken upshift there. A downshift is Onions. P2, Who Am I? From P3. Completes his charge to the front of the sprint race. And a great result for him already. Before the feature race has even begun. Daz P3, Pesh P4. Bunny makes P5. P6 for Ben Harvey. P7 for Humero. P8 for Jack after his penalty. Suzuki 9th. Nade 10th. Tommy 11th. Rory 12th. Zedmar across the line now. The Aston Martin finding himself in 13th. And then Jan and Forfeit. Both of whom found themselves in a very unfortunate position. Lap 1. Have inevitably found their way to the finish line. Great respect to them. As we have one driver who then did not finish. Jan Forfeit finished and Josh Owen, having retired, completes the results of this sprint race. A very, very good one indeed to start us off, and that's just the beginning. Because we have another qualifying and another race to come. But yes, turn 1, not the happiest for many. I believe we had some lockups going into the rear ends. And as we wait once again, for the one-shot qualifying to begin. We'd like to remind all drivers that may or may not be watching, just to be careful into turn 1, but I'm pretty sure, even if they're not watching, they'll have got that message just from the consequences of the sprint race. We'll be having one more one-shot qualifying, readying up any minute now. As here we go, we're all on the track at the same time. An absolute nightmare for me, but an absolute blast for the drivers. It's Rory. Down to P3 is Who Am I? It's the one currently leading us. Bunny now changes all the way down the straight. Braking for turn 1 will change everything though. Who has dared to break the latest? And to nobody's surprise, it's Onions Please out of turn 1, as it was in the first qualifying. But now leads Curva Grande. Josh Owen up to P2. A little bit of a lock-up from Onions and a slide. That will compromise him down to P4. Provisionally, he goes. Josh Owen takes advantage. We saw this exact thing play out before. Daz, P2, our previous pole sitter. In the exit of Lesmo 2, Josh Owen has held on to this longer than he did before. The V-carb finding its place. Now the Ascari chicane nice and smooth on the wheels. Josh Owen still holds on to the lead he's gained. Daz ever so close behind. And now Onions once again. Daz overtakes. Just down the straight line speed is Daz Dyro in the final sector that takes pole once again in Monza. So the Aston Martin will be the one leading us away off the grid again, but this time it's Josh Owen in P2, Rory P3, Who Am I P4, Onions P5, Suzuki up in 6th, Bunny 7th, Pesh 8th, Jack 9th, Forfeit 10th, Tommy 12th, Humero 12th, Tommy 11th, Humero 12th, Ben 13th, Nade 14th, Jan 15th, and Zedmar 16th. So, not quite the same as we saw in the sprint at all at the front. It's a bit mixed up at the back. But as usual, if there's chaos into turn 1, anything can happen for these men. Once again, looks a bit overcast, as it did in the sprint, for race conditions. once again. We'll be going any minute now. And the drivers will be raring to go. Have to remember, the race is not won in one corner. As here we go, the red light's already 4, now 5. We've done this before, let's do it again. And it's Daz, once again our pole sitter. The Aston Martin, starting on hard tyres this time. Who Am I instantly makes the move on Rory into P3. And please be sensible. Much better from the field as we go through turn 2. Very, very sensible side by side. Go Suzuki and Onions. Onions wins out on that one. Rory and Who Am I side by side through Curva Grande. The McLaren finding himself on the inside of the Ferrari. And Rory and Who Am I as the Red Bull cuts the track, puts himself back where he was, side by side with Suzuki now into Lesmo 1. Much cleaner from the pack this time around. So the front 3 have started on hard tyres, the 4 behind them on mediums, the 2 behind them on hards, 2 behind them on mediums, and then we have 4 hard runners and a final Jan on mediums. So the grid is split today between strategies. Much less damage, much more pace. It'll all depend on how these first few laps go. While EA flag up some possible race strategies, they are almost entirely wrong. We'll be seeing either a 1-stop of medium hard or a 2-stop of medium hard medium go around here. Daz taking the fastest lap. DRS not quite active yet into turn 1. You see not many moves made. And the Aston Martin of Zedmar is in the barrier at turn 1. I said less damage. That was a lie, as that is an entirely lost front left wing. And off the track he goes. Struggling to control it, cannot retire on track. You have to go into the pits for that one. Absolute disaster for Zedmar. Locking up on the braking zone, finding himself spinning. But Daz has held it safely for now in P1. DRS is active though, down the back straight into the Ascari chicane. If you're daring enough, but not quite yet. The mirrors full of V-carb from Daz's POV as he pulls to the inside, breaking the slipstream, protecting whatever he can. But Josh Owen has never needed a slipstream. He's got a beautiful run out of Parabolica and down the main straight, aided by DRS. Flies past before we even reach the braking zone. He's not the only one. Rory defends P3 from Onions. As Ben goes on the inside of Humero into turn 1. The move is made. Goes a bit wide on turn 2, however. Slide from the Haas. Zedmar takes a 10-second penalty for speeding and retires after that incident. Ben, having just made the move on the Haas, holds it into turn 4. Well done from him. Josh Owen, in the meantime, having now gained P1, leaves Daz to fend for himself against Rory. The 3 hard runners at the front, dictating the pace. It's not quite what you want to see if you're on medium tyres like Onions and you're stuck behind them. Because then you can't take advantage of the tyre you might have on. Rory setting himself up for a run out of Parabolica, going for the same move that Josh Owen did just a lap before the straight even begins. Rory, side by side, wheel to wheel. Now aided by DRS, as they both are. Rory holds the inside, brakes just that bit later. And no switchback is available for Daz, who finds himself P3. Daz isn't safe either again, though, as Onions, a medium tyre runner, is looking to get past him, taking advantage of the tyres he's got. If he gets stuck behind any more hard runners, these medium tyres are useless. So it's now or never for those who are on medium tyres. Don't get stuck in this dirty air, or the pace will vanish. Josh Owen has left Rory, who's now P2, by a second. It's very, very close for DRS. Onions now has a run out of the Ascari chicane with that top speed. And the exit from extra traction. Onions takes P3, that podium spot. Bit of a collision between the two, though, as Daz takes a more inside line. It'll be Daz with DRS, or both of them with DRS, but the Aston Martin isn't giving it up. He may have lost the position before, but that doesn't stop him gaining it back. On the outside, tries to hang it around the inside of turn 2, becomes the inside, and now the outside of turn 3. As the McLaren dips his wheels in some grass, they lock wheels. And now a Red Bull has passed. Who Am I takes advantage, through he goes on both Onions and Daz, the fighting, leaving Who Am I with the perfect opportunity to make his move. Around the outside of turn 3 goes Who Am I. An absolutely beautiful opportunity taken and seen. So, on the medium tyre himself, Who Am I? Looking to do the same as Onions. Make some early headway, so that when you're on the hard tyre, it doesn't quite matter as much. In the meantime, though, he does not have DRS on neither Rory or Josh. Josh taking a very wide line out of Parabolica to save those tyres. If you pull back to the inside, you'll drag the tyres along the tarmac. It won't look good for management. However, we have a bit of an incident. A yellow flag in Sector 3. As Tommy has fallen just a bit behind. No damage from what I can see. Just probably a bit of a slide. Who Am I now? 1.7 seconds behind. Having to defend from Onions himself. A beautiful line over the curbs from Onions there. Very brave. And Onion's ever so close, with that dirty air punishing him. Who Am I? Has nothing in his mirror but the front wing of a McLaren. And is there anything you can do about that? Well, Onions would like to say no. Down the main straight he goes, and the front runners have their own argument. Rory past Josh Owen with DRS into turn 1. The Ferrari leads the race. Not something you'd ever hear said in a normal 2025 race, but here we are. It's Rory leading us away and still presiding over the huge gap now. Onions, while we were watching Rory, made his own move past Who Am I in a very similar way. So it's now the McLaren P3, and we're 7 laps in, and the medium tyres are going to start to degrade. Are they past their best already? As Ben and Jack swap around into turn 6. Jack, though, has a car on his outside. Nade backs out through the second Lesmo, aware of how difficult it can be. DRS is active here, though, and Jack is in the prime position to take it back to the inside of the Ascari chicane. But no, he backs out there, opting for the safer option. An overtake can always be done later. Daz, who's held on behind Who Am I? Josh Owen back through on Rory. DRS into turn 1. So incredibly powerful. And Who Am I? On the inside of turn 1. Massive lockup. The tyres screech and they make contact. Daz behind him. The Red Bull and the Aston going into each other. Now ghosted for the safety of other cars. And it's the Red Bull that pulls ahead. Who Am I? Down to P6. Daz P7. Bunny and Suzuki through. Who Am I? Making the move on Bunny straight into turn 4. Not very happy at all with what's just happened. So, the midfield being shaken up by these aggressive moves. Nade and Forfeit side by side through turn 5. And Forfeit, the Mercedes. A very aggressive move, but stands by it. Pesh now P8. Sauber hanging on to the DRS at the back of this pack, hoping for an opportunity. Looks like he might just get it. The car's ahead. Bunny going wide in Parabolica. That will compromise the exit. So we'll take a look at the fight at the front. Rory, once again, using DRS, swapping that around. But Suzuki, newly in P4, finds himself unable to get past the McLaren just yet. We have Bunny back through on Who Am I into turn 1. Jack and Ben Harvey still going at it. Pesh and Humero, though, the first ones to turn through the pit lane. A new front wing for Humero. Most likely some invisible damage. And Pesh onto new hard tyres. Some people doing away with the mediums already, but Onions is 4.5 seconds behind Josh Owen. So these front two on the hards look like they've outdone the medium runners. Going on the softer tyre at the start almost requires that you make a bit of headway. Daz Dyro and Tommy now are people with 3-second penalties. Those will be applied to their race time at the very end. With Who Am I? Still trying to make a recovery drive from the accident in turn 1, lap 9. With DRS. Makes that one look relatively easy, as Daz, the driver who he collided with, now coming into the pits. No front wing for him, which means he's most likely got away quite nicely from the accident. But some new tyres indeed for Daz. We have Ben and Jack. Jack with a much better run out of turn 3. Nade, a 10-second penalty for speeding. Of course, you can always appeal to the FIA. And Jack settling for P8. And 10 laps in. The tyres are all over the place, as are the drivers. This is so far from over. Between the top two, it will all depend on who bites the bullet and comes into the pit lane. Daz has already binned off his hard tyres for some mediums, only 10 laps in, which makes me think we're looking at most likely a 2-stop. Either hard, medium, medium, maybe medium, hard, medium, maybe even 2 sets of hard tyres. As the pits come thick and fast now, Suzuki in the pits, Onions in the pits, Who Am I in the pits? All started on medium tyres, now are done with them. As Pesh comes out just ahead of Onions. And Daz, side by side with Suzuki, tries to turn, but there's no space there. A little bit of collision there, but no damage, I believe. Ben through on Jack. These two do not stop fighting. The race for them very much between each other. Of course, Josh Owen sticking to the back of that Ferrari like glue. The two drivers aware that DRS is the only thing that can save them, but Josh Owen, after only 10 laps, some people are getting rid of mediums, he's getting rid of hards. He's gone for an undercut, not wanting Rory to stay within DRS any longer. So, Josh Owen definitely going for a 2-stop. Nade with a track limits penalty. Josh Owen going for 2 sets of hard tyres, now on another set of new ones. And Jack, flying round Ben Harvey, comes out ahead of Josh Owen, who's just come out of the pits now. Forfeit will also find himself in P4. Now it's on Rory, because if he doesn't cover this undercut off, he may be in trouble. Trouble? Trouble. Will all depend on this outlap for Josh Owen and this in-lap for Rory. You can see he's used his battery, he's used everything he's got to try and maintain his net position. And he stays out on the track. Rory not quite covering, not choosing to cover off that undercut after 1 lap at all. He may have chosen a hard medium allocation, in which case he's got to stay out on those hard tyres just a little bit more. Josh Owen, the new tyres, whole new level of pace. And down the main straight, as Jack peels into the pits, it's Josh Owen flying past. Forfeit, not making his life easy, into turn 1. New tyres can brake ever so much later. On the exit, there's more speed there too. Ben squeezing him to the grass. Josh Owen making the dive down the inside of turn 4, aware of how much more his tyres can handle. And it's not a difficult one, although they tried to make it. So now, the gap between Josh Owen and Rory, 21.3 seconds. And it will be closing. But Rory, Ben and Forfeit are those taking these hard tyres the longest, and so far on the longest stint of anybody this race. Rory stays out for a 13th lap, while the gap between him and his rival slowly diminishes. Every single turn, a few tenths are taken away from the advantage he's been given. DRS, Forfeit, finds his way through on Ben. Both of them just trying to maximize what's left of these 4 tyres. Well, Who Am I and Suzuki, who started on mediums, came in for new hards, are still finding themselves a bit stuck in 7th and 8th because they're still behind those who started and have stayed out on hard tyres. The net positions are a bit jumbled. As Ben through on Forfeit into the Ascari chicane. DRS making these overtakes look easy, but preparing them, I assure you, is not. And now Josh Owen to Rory is 18.9 seconds. Surely Rory has to pit at some point. I believe Rory may just be going for that one-stop strategy. If he stays out to lap 17 and he manages the mediums, he may go to the end. Ben, though, the first of these final hard runners to drop off. To finally get rid of them. You can see the graining on the tyres as the engineers hold them. They are absolutely ruined. Ben falls as a result of having come in. Suzuki and Who Am I? Very, very close, with Pesh only just a bit behind. Rory, though, our current leader, gets a 3-second penalty. This track isn't an easy one, and track limits are coming for you. If you're not careful. 3 warnings, and this is what happens. We have several drivers now in this predicament. Now, to get in a place, you need to be 3 seconds ahead of that person, else it'll be given straight to them when the checkered flag is shown. And into the pits comes Rory, 14 laps in. He has a penalty for track limits. Now, the question is, has he made a mistake? Has it been too long? Or can he salvage the lack of pace at the end of that stint? It's Josh Owen now, down the main straight as Rory, you can see on the right-hand side in the pit lane still. What about Onions? Past him as well. There's a whole crowd that Rory has to be careful of. And he's come out just ahead of them. So P3 with a penalty for our former race leader. And Josh Owen has done what he planned to do by leaving him in his dust. By pitting earlier, he's avoided the DRS swapping that was happening between them. And Rory is now on medium tyres and has a choice. Either he takes them to the end or he maybe goes medium soft. But for now, that's not what he'll be thinking of. He'll be thinking of how on earth to close back the time he lost. As Pesh through on forfeit. Has forfeit got a puncture? I can't tell. 15 laps on the hard tyres can't be easy. But he seemed okay. I believe he's just given that position up. Aware that he cannot fight it as well as he would want to. As he is the one currently doing the longest stint of the race. Has it come back to bite him? As into the pits he comes. That's way too fast. Never mind, he's got pit assist on. So he's got away with it. P8 for forfeit. But that won't stay the same. As you can see, already P9. And Rory already closed up on Onions. The medium tyre does have pace, which didn't quite see it in the first stint because everybody was stuck in traffic. So it's up to Rory. Find yourself some clean air and use it as best you can. Forfeit comes out P12. Jam 50 goes into the pits from 14th. And it's here with DRS and nicer tyres. Rory waits behind the McLaren, too conscious of the next DRS zone. Allowing himself to sit behind so that he doesn't simply get beaten when it comes to the end of Parabolica. And instead he wants to use that for himself. Very good racecraft from Rory. Let's see if it pays off. He's waited till now to make the move. He's got the tyre advantage. He hasn't got the battery advantage. He has got the DRS advantage. And through he goes. Turn 1. Here's Oyster. So, 6.3 seconds between him and his race rival. Of course, bearing in mind his penalty. Rory has his work cut out to make that back. Bunny, in the meantime, flies around the outside of Daz in turn 3. We have a yellow flag. For Nade, I believe he had a puncture or something. Something happened in Sector 3 for Nade. But he's coming in for some new tyres. Daz P8 was our pole sitter, has struggled for pace today. You have to wonder if that setup may just be more for one lap than it is for a race stint. Qualifying around this circuit does not define your race. And this is what we're seeing. Rory passed Onions last lap using DRS. Onions has DRS now, does not quite make the same advantage. Bunny. Now P6, past Dyro and Pesh. Pesh down to 10th, coming out of the pit lane. Make that 11th now, falling past forfeit. Brand new medium tyres for the Sauber. He'll go to the end. And Rory now 5.8 seconds behind Josh Owen. Has a lapped car ahead, but when he's close enough he can use for DRS. A corner cutting warning there. He's just one away from making that 3-second penalty a 6-second penalty. And given that he already has to recover 6 seconds, I fear that would make his job almost impossible. So he has to keep it safe. Of course, that car is ghosted. The DRS can still be given. Blue flags for Rory. To make his life easier. Pesh closes in on forfeit. Newer tyres should mean an advantage, but it's never quite that simple. With DRS around the outside. A beautiful move from Pesh, all about the exit speed there. All about preparation. Forfeit now has fallen a bit behind. As a result, Tommy in the pits. He suffered damage in the sprint race, but he's recovered this race. And Onions is lifting and coasting to stay behind Rory. Both drivers have been penalised for their track limits, and Rory has not been making the headway he needs to overtake Josh Owen. He's got 6 laps, and if he doesn't notch up the pace now, he'll be stuck in P2 for a bit longer. Maybe even to the end. Josh Owen's hard tyres now reaching their almost limit, but also reaching the point where they'll have an advantage over the mediums. This is a high degradation circuit, and at tracks like this, medium tyres don't last too long. Pesh, we saw him overtake forfeit before, now he's still going, and he's through on Ben. Into the Ascari chicane, it's a Sauber leading this pack of 3. Pesh to P7. And Onions once again stays behind while dealing with the ghosted car. The ghosted Haas absolutely pushing. But Rory still has not made any gains. His delta to Josh is too big, and it's not coming down at all. So in the meantime, Jack is around the outside of Tommy Bread, going for an undercut. Absolutely beautiful move. Went wide in turn 2 to get a good exit. And they're side by side now. Front wheel to rear wheel. And through Curva Grande. It's left alone. Very, very good attempt there from Jack. As Josh Owen comes into the pits after 11 laps on the hards, he's gotten some more mediums. He was leading so confidently, but 11 laps on the hards was just too many. Hard medium. Of course, he went straight to another set of hard tyres, which is mandated that he do another stop to be on another compound, and he's down in P6 now with 4 laps to go. Has he made a strategy mistake? Because as it stands, Rory will take the race win. This fight that was for P2 and was influenced heavily by penalties is now no longer so unimportant. This is now what will determine who gets to say they won the Italian Grand Prix. Rory, looking confident. But of course, he has 4 more laps to go on his own medium tyres. We may just be looking at everybody else doing another stop. Onions finally takes his time and does the move he's been waiting so long to do. P1 for Onions, please, as Daz gets another penalty. Penalties galore for P10 through 15. While most of the back of the field have done long enough and enough stops on their tyres to go to the end of the race, the front 5 make you wonder, can they really go that long? Or are they at risk of punctures in the same way Josh Owen was before he pitted? The inside curve of turn 5 proving itself a little bit bumpy. But you can see just how good these new tyres are. Every single corner. The gap decreases. That was not even difficult. Josh Owen now storming back through the field. Taking his moves when he gets them. Through the Ascari chicane, pushing as much as he can. But with only 2 laps now to go, surely Onions will try go to the end on these hards. Josh Owen is counting on punctures for the drivers ahead. As he takes the fastest lap, we have people on hards that are 14 laps old. Josh Owen pitted after 11 because he needed to go to mediums. Surely he could have taken that first set just a little bit longer. As the one stop is proving itself very useful. Ben. Rear front wing almost practically inside the Daz Dyro's diffuser. Rory getting himself another penalty. That's 6 seconds for him. And who am I getting one of his own? Josh Owen now has a much easier job to do if he can overtake Suzuki. And just close in. It's very possible that he'll find himself gaining more places because of penalties. Nade comes back into the pits and retires. As Josh Owen takes another fastest lap. We're on our penultimate lap already. And it's not looking great for Josh Owen. Now think about the tyres. There's graining on that front left all right. Rory will be feeling the effects of this. You have to think, when will it pop? You can see even struggling for rotation in the Lesmos, very wide on the exit. The curb spitting him out. As Onions has started running away with it, the tyres looking much nicer on that McLaren than for the Ferrari. Josh Owen, the newly tired menace. Has turned a 3-second gap to Suzuki into 7/10 in just one lap. But is that really enough? With only 13% battery remaining, DRS will make it easier. Into P4 he goes. But he was first, so his fight does not end. We're on the final lap. And it's now Josh Owen with 6.5 seconds ahead of him. And the drivers ahead, 16-lap-old hard tyres. How are they doing? And how are they not punctured? The one-stop strategy, winning out for now. If there was only just a few more laps. As Josh Owen still 6 seconds behind. Can only delay what's going to be inevitable. The strategy has absolutely betrayed him this race. As Onions, he has a penalty, but no one without one is close enough to make it matter. And at the end of it all, it's Onions Please taking the win of the Italian Grand Prix here at Monza for VFRL. Across the line he goes. Who Am I takes second after Rory's penalty. Josh Owen bins it in the pit wall. And actually loses positions as a result. To P6, Josh Owen goes. Bunny. Rory P3, Suzuki takes P4. Bunny 5th, Josh Owen 6th. And Pesh takes 7th, Daz 8th. Forfeit 9th. But because of penalties, takes 8th overall. And Ben, our final points position today is the Ferrari. Tommy finishes just behind. Jack in 12th. Jan finishing their run around this circuit now. Through Parabolica for one final time. And there we go. So the podium today is Papaya. That's our race winner. Wasn't quite there at the end of qualifying, but he's here at the end of the race. And it's Onions that takes it away today. Josh Owen taking fastest lap. Forfeit with most overtakes, and Bunny with cleanest driver. A great drive. As Onions went from 5th to 1st. Who am I from 4th to 2nd? Rory managed to stay where he was. Suzuki from 6th to 4th. Josh Owen from 2nd to 6th. Bunny from 7th to 5th. Some crazy position changes today. Pesh went to 7th. Forfeit 8th. Daz 9th. Ben 10th. And there we go. Absolutely beautiful race today. And there's only more of that every other Sunday when VFRL goes racing. Thank you so much for joining me. And we'll see you next time around.